he runs away, Darius, and Alexander, he's going after them. I'm like, Persia is huge, and there's no maps, no GPS, no spy, nothing. Can't you hide somewhere? Hide somewhere. A house, a desert, somewhere in the ground, the mountains. Even now, you can probably hide somewhere, like with all these technologies that exist, cameras, all that. Like at that time, oh my god,
What's going on? He was probably leaving like some breadcrumbs. Come find me, Alexander.
right, teasing him.
Probably.
Catch me if you can. With a 20-year-old? Oh, he's probably like a 40-year-old man fighting. Hey pals, welcome to another episode of the Plot Pals podcast.
In this episode, we're talking about Alexander.
Never will there be an Alexander like you. Alexander the Great.
Literally had the fate of Alexander himself. It just failed though.
It aspired for
it just
greatness.
Had the failure
and
part.
was destroyed.
Alexander, be reasonable! Were they ever meant to be our equals?
Conquer your fear! And I promise you, you'll conquer death!
This episode, two barbarian Persians, are going to review this movie for you and dissect its facts and its truth and its fiction.
So strap in. Let's go to the Persian side. Once you go Persian, you never have another version.
I was gonna say you'll never go back, but then that's better. Once you go Persian, you don't want another version.
I've known many great men in my life, but only one Colossus.
It's such a kind of world that you don't know anything. You don't know the map, the full map. You don't know the world, how it actually looks like. Is it flat? Is it round? Where's the end of the world? You don't know all of these things, and you explore it. And if you have curiosity, it could lead you to big things and to achieve huge things. I can't imagine living in that time.
All your life is becoming a killing machine and then conquering another land and then having a child. And that's the end of it. Even if you're the king, that's what you do. Right. So the fact that like all they saw was this bloody life, they didn't see anything different. That's so amazing to me. I mean, we get to like go sit in a coffee shop, have a conversation with a friend. We're so
tame.
I know. Like they would just have to get up with their swords, get into battle. One man would kill two men and then die himself. And that was the extent of his purpose on this earth, was to take out two other men. And then imagine this also. This movie has as many versions as there are historical variations of what happened at the time.
Whoa, so true. I was so surprised to hear this. Maral.
So 4 different edits of this movie exist, each with a completely different thematic element coming out.
How is that possible?
And they're just letting loose. Like you might watch any version.
And like the movie came out in 2004, but like the other edit comes out in like somewhere in 2007 maybe, and then 2014. They don't give up on that movie.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
I think the titles are, first one is the theatrical cut, then the director's cut, then the final cut, then
well, that's so you. That's like the way you edit as well.
They should have done that before they released it, but we're not judging.
The very, very final.
Yeah, I know.
Final.
What's the last
point
one
two
called? I think the last one's called the ultimate cut.
Oh god. Okay.
Okay.
Thank God. Are they still going or?
Every time Oliver Stone says, "This is my last cut, don't worry about it," and then another cut comes out.
God damn. But I'm so intrigued. I really love this movie and I want to watch all of those cuts.
Well, it's such a lesson in filmmaking.
Yeah.
Just to see how many different things you can make with the same footage.
Editing. The power of editing. Because you think that technically, like, you know the power of editing. But you have to actually see it. Like, what kind of difference does it make with the same footage?
Actually, I would say everyone should do this because most times when there's a director's cut versus real cut, the changes are very small. Like the director wanted this little scene in, they didn't let him, so he puts it in. And the rest of the movie is the same. But with this one, literally huge changes, like entire sections of the end. Literally, the last lines are put at the beginning in another one.
Wow.
And it changes everything. And like sections are moved around and scenes are added and cut. They somehow make you feel like you are in the war. Like you see all the ways that a man could be killed, straight up getting his neck cut off and the face falls.
I know.
And then also they play it for so many minutes that you almost like zone out at times. And that's what it's good though, because it makes you feel like this is my life now. Like I'm just fighting, and the one fight finishes, another starts. So you really feel like these soldiers, like their life is a never-ending battle. It's kind of
I thought it was just me that was zoning out. I was like, what are you doing? Be in the present. Just watch the movie. But then I was like hazy, like thinking of something else. And at some point I would be like, oh, what is this? Like, watch what you're watching. Like, you are looking at the screen, but you're not watching it. Oh, wow.
That, I would say that's also the power of filmmakers. Sometimes that happens because the movie is bad. But then other times, it's like a hypnotizing tactic.
Yes, because that battle specifically, the one in India, was the one that it was kind of from Alexander's point of view. It switches, like the color changes to red. He sees red, everything right after he is kind of defeated.
It really shows like this is a man who spent most of his life in battle, thinking that would get him somewhere. Like he thought he was the son of a god, and that he
son
was
of a
doing
Zeus.
good. Yeah, exactly. Son of a Zeus. And so he thought, like, if I conquer these nations, I will make everyone one, like bring everyone together. He really believed he was making the world a better place by this killing. But then when you look at it from the outside, when he finally like went red and he was saying like, I'm just creating blood. I'm literally walking around slashing people's horses, because I'm thinking like this is the way to be, but it's just a young man, too ambitious for his own good, really.
That's
and like,
true.
I will destroy everything for my own good.
But the thing is, like, Alexander was too good at destroying things, but never actually building an empire. He was just good at conquering. That was his expertise. He would be a good general. He would never be a good king, actually. He doesn't stay somewhere long enough to build that country and the people. And that dream that he says that he has to connect all these people of like east and west and like bring them all together and like conquer everything and make just one absolute kingdom that everybody is under, that is not actually his dream. He says that it's the facade of his dream.
He believes it, but he's lying to himself.
He's lying to himself, because what he likes is actually the battle. If he liked that, he already had all the known world, as they say. So he should have just ruled it. He should have just stayed in one place and ruled this place and bring peace and everything that he claimed he was after. But no, he didn't do that. He was actually after that conquests, the unachievable, just when you have this goal and you want to go after it and you just want to do it for the sake of it. But when you reach that goal, you kind of are purposeless. So that's the state he's in.
And it was written into his mind by his kind of like semi-evil mother.
Yes.
She kept saying, you will be the ruler of the world. So even though he doesn't even want this, it's ingrained into him. Like, I can't stop until every person in the world is under me, working for me. So he keeps fighting this battle, and he's like hates himself in the meantime. It's such a tragic destiny that
it is a tragedy. It is a tragedy. And I love like this relationship that he has with his mother. Oh my God, the way that they showed it. So we see him at the end of the movie, kind of. He sees this parallel between himself and his father and his wife and his mother. And it's like, I don't know, it's like he's so guilty. He looks at the mirror and he sees his father. He's there, and it's almost like he did it with his mother. So if he sees himself as his father, he has done it with his mother, right? So it's like, and then after that we see the picture of that cave. We see a frame of that cave and that man that blinded himself. So it's like that's what they're implying. He is that man. He reached and he failed.
Especially these kings, they all had a bad ending. There's like not even one king who had a good ending. So when they reach for this high a level, they always end up living that prophecy that was written, like, you will hurt your children, because it's like poisoning you to have power that all those people would murder the next in line. Like that was a normal thing to do. Right. And so even if you hate that way of being, then you end up becoming that. So it ends up becoming your messed up destiny.
Wow.
To live through the same thing.
So true, so true. And then also like this mother that he had, right? It's like always these kind of mothers are the ones that make the worst dictators or like these kind of rulers. So the parallel between like him and Napoleon, well, he was the the role model of Napoleon, right? Napoleon had a strict mother that would always like punish him for things that he did, or she was so disciplined, as opposed to his father. That's exactly the same with Alexander. Oh my God. He had this mother that was always like believing in him, that was strict, like, you have to do this. Oh my God, everybody's after you. You are the king. You have to like do this. And then the father is like into debauchery and he's like drinking away and he's sleeping around. So that's like, oh my God, these kind of mothers make these kind of sons.
And is that a good thing or a bad thing? I wonder, because he's he's the ruler of the world. So wow, the mom did a great job. Or like, should you never tell your child that they're special? And
I don't think you should actually tell them that they're special, because once they don't live up to it and they kind of fail a little bit, which is inevitable, they're gonna feel really bad about themselves. And not everybody's destined for that kind of greatness. So when they fail, it's going to be so harsh for them.
That's true. And also, even if they don't fail, they're gaining this very empty prophecy.
I know.
So yeah, this mother, though, she did teach him everything he knew. Like, as much as we want to judge her, she is the one who said, don't hesitate, carry your enemies, like, don't trust them. Everything that she learned, you would think he would learn it from his father. Right. But no, actually, it was this woman who was so looked down upon too. Like, she lived such a terrible life. Everyone said she's a whore, she's a witch. Your son will never be king. Yeah. And then the father divorced her too.
Whoa, really?
In real history.
Really? But how did he still become the king, Alexander?
I believe, I read like one line, but after the father was killed, Alexander was a 20-year-old loved by the army. And so he said, I will be king. They accepted it.
And that horse thing is also true, by the way. He actually did like tame this wild horse when he was young.
What a beautiful scene too.
Yeah. And his dad actually said that line.
So, if you rule this horse, you will rule the world.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And then he starts to, like, you see how this man succeeded. He's able to talk anyone into what he wants.
Who will answer? I was here this day at Gaugamela for the freedom and glory of Greece.
That's what he did with every army member for a decade.
Right.
It's still a big goal to go and conquer Persia, especially. That was the biggest.
I know, and
empire.
It was just from Macedonia and Persia.
Tiny little,
yeah, and like Greece was always attacked by Persia all the time, and it was this tiny little country, even though like they had so many accomplishments, but they were always like, as they say also in the movie, lots of Persian probably spies or something, they were like bribe them or they would fire a lot of stuff. They're like, I don't know, places. So yeah, that makes sense. That
a charismatic leader he was to be able to conquer this great nation, which we happen to come from. Amazing.
I know. So let's talk about this. The fact check here. First of all, what is up with Darius? He's this flimsy, addicted guy. Like, he looks like he's on cocaine. I don't know. He's just like...
He's the world's thinnest man. And have you seen... There's like 30 statues of Darius the Great. Could you have cast someone a little chubby to match
Darius?
His strength.
Oh, he's Darius the Great. He's one of the greatest kings of Iran. And then you...
I know, he's a conqueror, actually, the same way as Alexander is. He was Darius the Great.
The Great.
Like Anna said. And they take him to be this...
I'm scared.
Did you see he's putting out the peace sign?
What the fuck?
What are you doing? And he was also an army leader and everything. Like he wasn't just standing there. I don't know how Alexander defeated the Persians, but it wasn't because of Darius's, not doing anything.
And that is true that Darius was like the third or the second generation of the first great king, Cyrus the Great.
See.
That kind of makes sense. Like Cyrus, usually the first generation is like the strongest. The second, I think it was the third one. Darius the second he was, I guess. So, but still, like green eyes.
Yes.
Please explain that to me.
Oliver
The
Stone
average-
will talk about all his accomplishments.
Yeah.
And you are going to love this guy. But why didn't you cast a single Persian person?
God damn.
What?
Why? Like the average Persian has brown eyes, and you could not find one person that has brown eyes with like black hair or
That's
something.
a lead role. Why were you not looking? You just like cast the most random guy. I'm sure he's a great actor and he's doing great now, but like try your best. Even the women,
Wow.
the queens, like could you
The
cast
princess was anything but Persian. She didn't look Persian at all.
How could this happen?
She did look Persian. Well, Persia was vast, and she looked
true.
more like Eastern Persian, not from like Shiraz and Babylon or something. Okay, I don't know.
This is
know. It just
ridiculous.
doesn't make sense.
It hurts me. At the same time, you got to think like Colin Farrell, he's Irish. He has nothing to do with Greece.
That's
and they
true,
cast him.
but it matters that he looks like that. Even if like Jake Gyllenhaal was
yeah, I
playing
know.
that,
If they cast Oscar Isaac in that role, he would have matched perfectly.
Exactly.
God damn it.
But they choose like the most delicate, most
Yeah.
beautiful.
What the fuck?
And have you seen, as you said, like these statues? They're like filled. All these architecture is filled with the Persian kings and soldiers, and you see they have this huge beard and this bushy hairs that are like, oh.
They have a full face. They're eating beef and lamb chops every day.
Yeah.
They're fat. They're big.
Exactly.
Scary.
And then you show them as these people that are brutal, that are like flimsy like that, and just kill and run away. What?
I know. Imagine Iran had these mythical stories the same way as Greece, where there was like a Rostam and a Sohrab, and then they show the fighters. They're like, NPC, I will not look at anyone. I'm not fighting. I'm a slave. Okay, well, you can't do such an injustice. Especially like they would show Alexander give this great speech, and then cut to this side. Some guy, he can't even ride his horse, and he's like, blah, blah, blah. He's not even, I don't know what language he's speaking. Literally, please try. Use your imagination. Ask of one person who is from that time. Okay, I know they're not, but like there's so many historians that you could have talked to. And they just make it look like, oh, this side is all stupid. How did they build Babylon then?
Exactly. How did they build this empire that was half of the world? Like, how did they do that? How do you think?
I know.
Do you think just the Greeks are like the smart ones? And do you think they're actually barbarians? What the hell?
And what annoys me is like Oliver went halfway. So he showed Babylon be so great.
Yes.
He could have shown like one of the poets, one person from Iran who's like contributed to this. Not Iran, Persia. Or he could have like done a little bit to show these are people who have just as great a civilization. But he went kind of halfway. Like he showed the statue. Who built that?
Yeah.
What's it called? This thing that you have?
Oh, Ahura Mazda. Yes,
Yeah.
the symbol of the Persian religion. So, yes, this is like Ahura Mazda. They got the name from the Mazda company. Yeah. So, you just got it. Okay.
Wait, I was going to say. What was I even?
They're so visionaries that from 300 BC, they could predict that a car company would come and then,
That's exactly what.
Mazda means wisdom. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
These facts that you're giving are amazing. And also you tricked my mind.
And wait. So he is like the Lord of the Rings, the ultimate original Lord of the Rings, this man. Because Ahura means Lord and Mazda means wisdom. So he's the Lord of wisdom. And he actually has a ring in his hand that is bestowing to the king in most of the statues. And even if you see it like in the picture, that the symbol that they show, he has this ring in his hand. He is the original Lord of the Rings.
Look at how much Persia has contributed to society. And also chess is invented by Persians. I hope you know this.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in grade 7 and I need to prove to the world
I
that
know.
Persia is a good place. But one thing is, though, this is a story from Alexander's perspective. So
Exactly.
it kind of makes sense that they didn't show Persians be so smart.
That's true. I didn't even expect that. Okay, I really went there to be persuaded by Alexander and like his decision. I wanted to be proved otherwise, that okay, no, Alexander was a good man, because the fourth grader in me could not forgive Alexander at all.
Tell us why.
Oh my God. I read history in our classes, right, in fourth grade, and they would talk about this barbaric Alexander the Great that came and fired Persepolis. This huge, beautiful symbol of Persian might. And
Of human civilization.
I know this place is beautiful, and he fired it. He fired this
He
shit
burned
up.
it to the ground. And to this day,
And he did it
there's
soberly.
stones left.
And he did it soberly.
He did it on purpose because he is a brute. He knows nothing of art.
Exactly. And I was so furious. They didn't even show that, by the way. They just showed him being this nice guy that loves Persians.
I love that, yeah.
But if you see like Persepolis, it still stands. But imagine if he hadn't done that. That place.
One thing is interesting, though, how different histories can look at the same person in such a different way. Like, we grew
Yes.
up reading Alexander. Okay, that's
Iskandar.
instead of Alexander.
Yeah.
I was like, how could you get to Iskandar? And then the slave said it, Alexander.
No,
which
he-
turns into.
They actually, Persians in the movie say Sekandar.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
Oh.
Sekandar.
Iskandar.
But
That's great.
But like, imagine this: like,
Sekandar
Alexander
and
is like Alexander the Great, Alexander the Great, English way. But then the Persians like Iskandar.
Iskandar came and broke everything, fucked up our country.
I know, but I'm
Our
not
empire.
exaggerating. Let's go deep voice for English and Persian, right? Alexander, Iskandar. Like, fucking.
Fuck did I get? Like, you hear that name and you know he's evil. So
Yeah.
I think they should have gone with that name. He would have probably fixed his life up.
Iskandar sounds like a butcher's name, you know?
Right. Iskandar. Alexander. Iskandar.
Alexander is like Alexander is in finance. He has a laptop and he
yes.
goes to Starbucks, and
I know.
he's not.
Iskandar, his father was a butcher.
Yeah.
He is also a butcher, and his son will be a butcher. All with the way down.
So true, so true. So we conclude that English is not the language of the great.
Okay, that's how this segment ends. So this is what you need to know. I mean, they did very disgraceful portrayal of Persian community. Like, if you look at the credits, you'll see maybe 2 names that are Persian in the hundreds that they could have cast. I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but like, you could have given these Persians an
And that
opportunity.
person is probably behind the scenes, like,
I know, he's fucking cleaning the set, he's mopping it. Like, why am I not in this movie? They're making it about my nation.
yeah.
This is not cool.
But
Go ahead.
but like, I even though that was the case, but they did such a good job with this movie that, as prejudiced as we are and as ignorant as we are,
As ignorant as they are.
yeah, that's true. But like, being prejudiced is not good, so I don't encourage myself for feeling that way when I started the movie. As that was the case, I still rooted so much for Alexander so quickly, like 2 minutes into the movie. After the battle, of course, I couldn't bear to see. And after I saw Darius, I said, oh my God. After that, I was so cool with him. He's a cool guy. Yeah.
That's very true. They show how he's a young man with ambition. We've seen this guy everywhere.
Yes.
And he's a great leader. He's a great lover. He's a very giving man.
Right.
And so you do love him for real.
Yes.
And he has like visions for the future. These are all great qualities.
Absolutely. And you see like his human qualities, like his weaknesses and the past that he went through and why he is the way that he is. And you see his family dynamics, all the traumas and all that. And then how he deals with his army, how he goes about the leadership. So you can learn a lot also about like human nature and everything like that about him.
You are going to love Oliver Stone. He's going to be your favorite director.
Really?
I bet.
I've never heard of him, so convince me.
Oh, this man, he lived a life exactly like Alexander.
What?
He was destined to make this movie, in fact.
Oh God.
He was very rich. He was born into a rich aristocratic New York family.
What?
Okay? And he this is what he says in an interview. I would wear a suit and tie every day when I went into the streets. That was the only acceptable way to be, and if you didn't wear a tie, you would be known as you feel naked. And his life was completely structured. Wow. To the point that his father chose where he would go to university, how he would play out his life, and even down to the hour. Like at this hour, his father would take a bath, and that was Oliver's time to speak with his father. He lived exactly like this, groomed to be a king or a leader in New York society.
Like an heir. What the hell?
And he lived that life. And he was also not satisfied with this. He felt like he was being so controlled to do things that he didn't want. His father went to Yale University. He went to Yale University.
What did he study? Do you know? Definitely not directing or anything in arts.
Yes, exactly. He was going to be something completely different.
Right.
During that time, he was writing a novel.
Wow.
At 19. He finished and completed a novel, and it became a failure. Ooh, what a surprise. At 19. And it devastated him. And then he started to feel like, what am I doing? Everyone's telling me what to do. My novel failed. I've got to go. Guess where?
What? Oh,
I've got to go
LA?
to the east.
Oh, God.
So he came to the east.
I'm like LA. I got to go to Hollywood, yeah.
Well, oh, yeah, that's west. So no.
No.
But he left his country just like Alexander, and he came to the east.
Whoa.
And there, oh my, he was teaching English to some Chinese little kids.
Really?
And after that, he went to the war. He went to Vietnam War and fought there for a year.
God damn. Full Metal Jacket.
Yes, that war, exactly. And imagine he did not have to go to war. He was so rich. He was a Yale student. But
Crazy
he decided
man.
this. Exactly. I think he was also not satisfied with his life, just like Alexander.
And he wanted to rebel.
Yes, rebel, experience like real visceral life. That they showed him that. He was traumatized. 1 year later, he comes back. And now he explains how it was after the war for him. And we talked about this extensively in Full Metal Jacket.
Episode, yeah.
Once you see this kind of bloody life, you cannot possibly be expected to go back to regular listening to people, standing in a line, making relationships happen. Like you've seen the worst in humanity. And he felt like he couldn't trust the American government now. So he became this deeply hateful man towards America they didn't send him to Vietnam, but they started this war for no reason. And he comes back, he gets arrested for having some marijuana in his bag. So he's like this, he just hates his country. He feels so unsatisfied. And then eventually all his movies become this political theme of like, what do you do for your country? What does it do for you? Every single one.
Dang.
And then what happened? Oh, he also mistrusted his family because imagine, this is so sad. He came back and he's like, I was wounded in the war. I was so traumatized. And his dad is like, this wasn't even a real war. I went to the real war. You're just a big like you didn't experience anything bad. And so he's like, my father is saying this to me. How could he? I literally could have died there.
This was the first decision that he actually made out of free will. So that hurts if your family doesn't even recognize it or like doesn't recognize it as something worthy.
And then one day he makes the movie about a man who lived exactly the same way, but in a greater scale, in a worldwide scale. Fantastic.
Oh my God. What are his other movies? Do you know at all?
And recent movie you might have heard of is Edward Snowden, or it's just called Snowden, about a man who he was working very high security job in America, and then he noticed shady things going on with the government, and he exposed it, and America arrested him, and they were going to put him on trial even though he exposed the truth, and he escaped to Russia. And this is a real guy, Edward Snowden. So he made a movie about that. And a lot of his other movies, for example, Platoon, is also about this guy who goes to Vietnam War and sees the truth and horrific nature of humanity. And you know what else he wrote? I didn't even know this. He wrote the movie Scarface. You've heard?
Yeah, I think so.
It's crazy. I had no idea because another man directed that. I didn't know he wrote it. But it's this this kind of like immigrant, Cuban immigrant who comes to America to build the American dream for himself. He's a gangster. And he works so hard. He becomes the greatest gangster in America. During this time, he's also taking care of his family, and he becomes a cocaine addict. And then we see his fall after that, how America will spit you out if you're not from here. So he keeps making movies about these. And he was also a cocaine addict at some point, so that played into the movie.
Right, yeah.
But his movies are super political and really about like one man's fight to change everything.
But always at the end failing, which is realistic because it can't be one man against the world going against the grain, because eventually that current is going to push you towards its way, you know. And that happened with Alexander too, because like he goes until like a certain point with his vision, but then he can't like fight with his army and the other side, the other countries and like other forces, as well as nature and like everything. He can't do that. It can't be possible. So yeah, you see this kind of hero's journey, but also the fall as well.
At the same time though, there's a line at the end of Alexander which describes all of these people, which is his failure is greater than most men's success. So it is actually worth it to go alone, even if you will fail at the end. You will get somewhere.
Right. And it contributed to other people's success after him, because lots of trials that he did and like lots of experiments, people can learn from his experience and what happened and his history. He actually immediately became the role model of lots of generals in his time after he died. And they made this huge thing out of him. So like immediately after, he was always praised. And then other countries, and years after, until Napoleon and until this day. Wow.
Yeah, when I saw that in the movie, I was surprised because everyone was disagreeing with him while he was alive. And as soon as he was dead, they were hugging him, stealing him for themselves, fighting. It was like they were completely in disarray after he was gone.
Dang, wow.
This one man was bringing everyone together with his ways.
That's the thing. People love to make someone big enough so they could go under his shadow. That always happens. They love to praise someone and make them huge and big and godlike so they could like be comfortable under his wings.
You are a name living forever in history.
The first moment I knew this was going to be a good movie was the credits that start with. like
okay. I thought you said like the end credits. What?
where it's like a blue water, air.
Oh, yes.
It's delusions, kind of. It feels like hallucinations is what I mean. So we later learned that was the moment that he dies. This is what he sees. The eagle flying towards him and the faces of great leaders past. And you don't know this while you watch, but you know you're seeing something that's different than what you're used to.
It's so hypnotizing.
It is. And then the second moment was when they start smack with the Iranian Mazda 3.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so beautiful. They start with that and you don't even know. You're just thrown into the world of the movie. He's just laying there. Everybody's like, Alexander. And you don't even see his face. But everybody's just calling his name and saying, like, who is it going to be? Tell us, who is it going to be? And you're like, what are you asking? Who is this? Where is this? So you don't know. You're just thrown in there. And then we see
you think you don't know now.
Yeah.
In the version that I first watched, it goes into this room where someone's dying. And then you just hear a woman scream, It shows the Mazda and then it cuts away to another scene. So you don't even know, was that an Iranian king who died? You have no clue. And then it jumps into Egypt.
Whoa, that's horrible. That's such a bad cut.
So it's like, whoa, who was that? And then at the end of the movie, you find out, oh, that was his deathbed.
Oh, God. But the same kind of thing happened. But here, at least you know, like, this is Alexander. These are the Macedonians. They're trying to, like, call their leader and ask something from him. And he's dying. He's on his deathbed. And he has this ring, which is obviously significant somehow. You know it. And then it falls and he dies. And the last vision he has is the Ahura Mazda. And then we go to...
40 years later.
Yes,
in
40
Egypt.
years later in Egypt, one of his generals
Has
or
become
like-
pharaoh.
Yeah.
And is telling the story of Alexander.
Dang. Oh my God. And did you know, like, this is kind of unrelated, but Napoleon went to Egypt, right? And that was kind of one of the reasons. It wasn't.
His downfall was in Egypt?
No. He did go to Egypt, right, to conquer it and stuff. But it wasn't just because of, like, the glory of that. It was because of, like, being related a little bit to Alexander. I don't know. Somehow that was the case.
Right. And Alexander, everywhere he went, he built a new nation calling it Alexandria.
I know. He's so narcissistic.
How are you even going to be able to distinguish these? Like, put it Alexandria 2, 3, 4. It was just called Alexandria.
That's it. Lots of them. And then just one of them is after his horse.
Yeah. What about your dad? What about your mother?
Dang. And take this. Like, none of Persian kings were like that at all. There's not one city that is after their name. Just keep that in your mind.
So funny. He's just called everywhere Alexandria. That's...
Alexandria sounds like a female name too. What? I should call it Alex.
And so what happens next? Then in the version I saw first, we go to his childhood with his mother, who teaches him the ways of the world. With
And
you,
then-
though.
With me, though, it's 45 years before, they say.
Yes.
So,
And the great battle of Guacamole.
right.
I don't know what it's called.
Come on.
Guancanda.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Their language is wild. I don't even know. It's not even like Persian. If you listen to it, it's just so old you can't even understand anything. Those kind of BC languages. Anyway, they're 45 years before. So immediately you're like thrown like a ball around this field of time, you know? You go 40 years in the past. You go 40 years in the future. You go 45 years in the past. So you're like calculating the whole time. Like, oh, okay.
So exciting.
Yeah, and then you wonder, like, he did that only in 5 years. So he conquered Persia and all these countries, and he did all of his glory in 5 years.
He was non-stop.
Yeah.
And during this time, he also married 3 women and had 20 lovers. Yeah.
20?
I don't know.
Oh,
Many.
God.
He had many lovers.
Yeah. He had an appetite. Okay, my boy. Okay. And then, so, yeah, we see the battle. So you're thrown in the battle with Persia immediately. So, like, 5 minutes into the movie. And that's, like, kind of jarring at first because immediately you go into the violence, what it's going to be, the whole movie, what it's going to look like. But, yeah, and that's kind of hard to see, like, they fumble the whole Persians and how they're portrayed. That was hard.
That was a very bold choice if you think about it, because like you say, a lot of people are turned off by even violence. So you put that smack in the front where it's going to be like 10 minutes of just people cutting throats.
Yeah.
crazy.
If it was like short, that probably would have been good. Especially because like you're not even trying to focus on that. You're just trying to pass from this point. Just want to hit this point that he defeated Darius, and then that's his journey after that, how he built this empire. But then you focus like 10 minutes or something. Oh my God. And it's kind of unbelievable. The Persian army is huge. And they have all these technologies and everything. And then you guys just have these huge sticks. That's it. And then like
The Persian army even starts with a bow and arrow. It looks like they
Yeah.
destroy half the population.
But what I did love was the strategies and stuff. Like you get introduced to that. It's like Macedonian center, Macedonian right, Macedonian left, Persian right, center. Like they don't just go and like, I don't know, fight just like that. They have some strategies. Center goes with centers, lefts with lefts, rights with rights, probably.
It's very basic strategy.
That's true.
What's
a
something?
strategy?
You know how always there's a scene beforehand where they're drawing on the map, like you go from the left and they drop something on the ground, and I go from center, drop another piece, and then we win the war. That was their strategy. Like just go from any direction.
Dang. And then they made so many tales of Alexander. For example, after he defeated Darius, right? They were like, Darius ran away, right? So Alexander ran after him. He was so vengeful, he wanted to actually kill Darius himself. So they have these tales of Alexander going in these like Persian deserts, and then suddenly it rains for days. It never rains in Persian deserts. Never, ever. Never. And it's like raining, and then he finds him there, but he finds the head of Darius, but he goes after the general that killed Darius.
I imagine he probably did that, right?
He probably did it, but like these tales, this mystical kind of tales that they make of him.
They also show how kind of young and naive he is, because he's in the middle of battle. A few of his army men save him. Like he was about to die. And still he gets on his horse. He sees that one guy. He's like, Darius, I'm coming for you. Like as if I kill you, Darius, I'll be the king of the world. That's literally what he believes. And he's running, and Darius runs away, and his army is like, you gotta stay with us. Like 40,000 of us are dying here. And he's like, but if I kill him, I gain an empire. And he's like ready to throw it. You just see like he's so single-minded and kind of stupid because he's 20.
Yes, hot-headed he is. The thing is like, and after he runs away, Darius, and he's going after them, I'm like, Persia is huge, and there's no maps, no GPS, no spot, nothing. Can't you hide somewhere? Hide somewhere. Oh my god! A house, a desert, somewhere in the ground, the mountains.
What the fuck? How is that even possible? Persia was the size of North America, like bigger. And still, somehow Alexander found this guy. Yeah, that's so unrealistic. Even in real life, how did that happen?
It's like even to this day, even now you can probably hide somewhere, like with all these technologies that exist, cameras, all that. Like at that time, oh my god,
what's going on? He was probably going through the most obvious route, and he's leaving like some breadcrumbs. Come find me, Alexander.
Right, teasing him.
Probably.
Catch me if you can.
What the heck? Well,
with a 20-year-old? Oh, he's probably like a 40-year-old man. Fighting.
For real.
Damn. Okay. And then he goes and he conquered Babylon. Now we see all the fun stuff, fun times.
This beautiful blue stone design.
Oh my god.
The statues.
Babylon is such a mystery to me. Have you read or heard of this book, The Richest Man in Babylon?
No.
It's such a good financial book. It teaches you personal finance and stuff, but it's like the tales of this, the advice of this richest man in Babylon.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's incredibly wonderful.
Oh, gotta check this one out.
Yeah, it's such a good personal finance book.
What?
I know.
Amazing. I mean, I would just read it even for the history.
Right.
And you gain feedback.
From 10 coins, keep 1 coin for yourself. Something like
that.
God. Always pay yourself first. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. The
His
things that we
rules
don't even do right now. But if we did, we would live such good lives.
That's amazing. Exactly like the rules that good people follow today, like keep 10% for savings.
Exactly.
Oh my god. That goes to show there's also a book called Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, which was like maybe 6-7 generations after Alexander the Great, that people still read today because it's the journal of a king. What he wrote on a daily basis, and they learn from his lessons. So wow, I did not know there's one for Persian, like a finance guy. I wonder if he was 6'5".
Well, you know, technically they were Persian, but Babylon is like so huge. It was a first kind of civilization, even like it was like a huge city, and Persians conquered that, so it was a thing on its own as well.
Right.
And there lived these people that were really good at like commerce and like running businesses or like ruling their country. And so that was the case. And then Cyrus the Great comes and conquers Babylon, but then he frees the slaves of Babylon. He does that at a time. Can you imagine? The slavery wasn't like...
Slavery was legal in America 100 years ago. 100 years ago. And Cyrus the Great was freeing slavery 2,500
500 years ago. Oh God, before time, like 300 BC, he did that. And I'm sure it was like way before that as well. Maybe 500 or something. But... And also, Cyrus the Great, he has this like rights of humans, and he wrote all of this in stone. And he was the one that always advocated the equality of women and men. Oh God, I can't. Like, I just can't. Like, women and men were never equal in history of the West, and even right now in Iran, for like the last 20 years or something. Probably they just started these things. Oh, God, I can't imagine that time 2,500 years ago. So many generals were women in the army.
Oh my.
Yeah, there was this one Artemis. She was a woman.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And wow, Artemis is huge in the West now.
Oh God, yeah.
They use that name for everything. I was gonna say, there's another movie about Cyrus the Great that we could talk about.
Oh,
where's that movie? Is there?
Oh,
I think
I'm like,
it's like it's just empty space. We gotta make that movie.
Maybe we have to
Historical epic.
do that.
There's so
Like
many
seriously,
stories
we are
to be
certainly
told.
passionate about it. And like there's so much exactly to be told, and we could go deep into it. And now people have this great idea of him, like this godlike image. Maybe we could break down his human side as well. And there are so many people that love history. They would love to see a movie about that.
Although this movie did go bankrupt.
Okay, yeah, that is true. And way more people know about Alexander.
Right. Well, I think it depends on
And
the movie.
Jennifer. Oh no, what's her name?
Jennifer. No, it's not Jennifer at all.
It's not.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina. Okay. Wow.
She had a great Did you like her accent? I loved it.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know if it's like realistic or what, but it was definitely sexy.
The only thing that was kind of like keeping me back was that, is it realistic? But I loved it.
It will never be yours. Never. In my womb, I'm getting my avengers.
And that's
greatly
usually
acted.
what happens. Like these women, the only things that they have, the only defense that they have is the probably male child that they could produce and have. And if they could influence his mind to be always on their side, oh God, they've got a winner.
And this Olympias, you know,
Olympias.
her name is Olympias.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was Dionysus, but it's not.
And Olympics, yeah.
And so this Olympic lady, she did in fact kill the second wife of Philip and the son, the newborn son, after Philip died.
Whoa.
This was common practice to kill the next heir.
Was it in the... Yeah.
It wasn't in the movie.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was just like mentioned, but
damn.
and even the same thing with Roxana, Alexander's Persian wife. She killed the other
That's
wife.
a myth, though. Yeah, it is. It is. Lots of people want to like make women, usually like the wives of the deceased king, as this evil
That's true.
woman that like tried to get rid of all the other lovers or like other people that could sabotage her power.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so that is one thing that they said, is that they're not sure if Roxanne actually did that or not. I don't think she did. I don't want to think that she did.
Roxana was some kinky bitch, though. She's carrying the knife into the bedroom. I don't
Well,
know how much
that
of that
didn't
is true.
happen at all. Especially if she was like from a tribe and she was like under her father's rule all the time and like that, she would never defy the husband. Like, it was 2,500 years ago. No, no.
What was going
Such
on
a
with that
kinky
scene?
bitch. You're right.
Yeah.
What?
She was like,
And then
you
fighting,
think she's
I
not
loved
into
it.
it. Yeah, but then she's like super into it. Actually, she loves to be dominated. She's like a submissive girl. I don't know what's going on.
But she has
However
this
we see.
facade of being dominant. though.
Yes, exactly. And then,
And I'm like,
spicy.
Alexander, after that, you're not into this? She's a man, literally.
For real.
And she's like so passionate and everything. Like, you're not into that? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, why wasn't he? Because it looked like he was so into it
Yeah.
that one night.
Right.
And he also looked like he fell in love with women because of her. Like she was doing the knife dance. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's my lady. And then he never looked at her again.
And when I saw that dance, I was like, who is this woman? Like, I didn't recognize. Really? Could the wife, like the queen would dance this openly like
Right.
that?
Well, she wasn't the queen at that time.
Yeah, but she was about to be. Oh, she
They
married
didn't
them.
know. They didn't know.
Oh,
Wait.
no. No, they
'Cause-
married. That night they were married.
No.
No,
Well, this
because
is why. This is because they showed you in backwards order. But when I
Okay.
saw it in the original order, he was getting like some kind of treatment dance, and he fell in love with this woman, and he was like, "I'm gonna marry a commoner to show I'm so good."
Okay, that's the only problem probably with this cut that I watched.
It's unclear.
Yeah. Oh God, I didn't know that because it was like it's a wedding night gift,
Oh.
but it's for everybody else to see as well.
So you're watching that movie like, what is going on? I had a similar experience because there's so many cuts. Like even before I knew this, there would be some scenes where I'd be like, what are you doing here? Like this is from way far in the back.
Yeah.
Why is it not over there? So you could almost tell like they were experimenting with the edit.
The thing is, like, that's why I really wanted to see the script because I wanted to know how exactly did they manage to organize all these timelines, and how did they know that this is the right place for this timeline and this story to come here at this point. That was so interesting to me. I wanted to learn something from them, but they're still learning
It goes
too.
to show, yeah, they found it in the edit.
It's really hard to do that, to manage something like this, and then there's the evidence, as you said, 4 cuts.
But it's kind of amazing though, because imagine they shot a whole life story of him from beginning to end,
Right.
and then they could put it in any order, like a documentary. Like they could start it anywhere.
Yes.
It's risky as hell, but now we have 4 versions to learn from.
from. So 3 more I can watch now. 3 more. I really liked this. I really loved it. And then also, like, their relationship, his relationship with like his lovers is so interesting to me. First off, like, these Greeks are all gay apparently, as they show here. As you say, like, they're always wearing these small little short little skirts that literally I
It's
wouldn't
so
wear. to this
teasing,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even in war.
Women wouldn't wear that.
Yes, it's like his butt is out. He's ready for action. Of course, they're gonna get
Like, imagine you're
teased.
always ready to go. You don't even have your pants on. You're always just like, go, go, go.
Oh, so no one's safe while you're around these Greeks. Oh my!
Yeah, no breeches, no pants at all.
And then they call the Persians uncivilized. Come on,
Goddamn.
they're grabbing people in the street and going at it.
Wow. And then, like, you see this complicated relationship that he has with his friend from childhood. And but Hephaestion, but like, they don't even show it in the movie that they are like intimate. They don't show that at all. But they have this deep romantic and also like platonic relationship. It's so cool to see that.
They're the best of friends. They will
Yeah.
die for each other, and clearly they want to smash, but they don't show that.
Clearly. I know. And then we have this Persian lover.
Oh yes, I don't like that guy. Why?
No.
One,
But
probably
he's
because
the
he
only
doesn't look
one.
Persian. He does.
I was just gonna say he's the only one that looks Persian. What?
Well, okay, that's
he
fair.
does. I've definitely seen
You know, I think the
that
reason
man like 10 times in my life.
I don't like him because he's so fabulous. Like he looks kind of sexy, and I feel like he could steal my man. So I'm like, all right.
Yes, exactly.
His hair is glorious, shiny. He
Yeah.
has like abs too, and he wears like beautiful eyeliner and everything. So I was kind of like, Go away.
Isn't that kind of disrespectful to those Persians at that time if you took a Persian lover like that? It's like his boy. Like this, he just takes him everywhere and it's just his slave or something.
It's like,
It's not
that
that.
reminds me of Maestro. But
Yes.
he actually had a guy looking exactly like
Yeah,
this.
yeah. God. But like you see, like Alexander goes into this beautiful harem or something. And then he's not at all, his eyes is not caught by any woman. There are these beautiful women everywhere, but he's just like,
One of them
This
is
boy.
petting a Persian cat.
that doesn't happen.
Yeah. It was just so random.
Even
and
though
funny.
the stereotypes have some reality to them. You had a Persian cat.
This is true. It was just funny.
So,
like
you
like
can't
you are
say-
a Persian cat yourself, woman. You don't need to also pet a Persian cat. You know what I mean?
No. And at that time, like, do you think they had just Persian cats or like they knew the significance of Persian cats? It's just a cat.
It was silly.
Oh God. Okay.
What? Exactly. Even in Persia, in Iran, there isn't that many Persian cats. Like, there's mostly those gray cats
that's what
that
I'm
are thin.
saying. It's just you don't know the significance of that cat, especially at that time, because that's the known world. That's just a cat.
Yeah, right. I don't know. It was cute.
Oh God.
Cats
Yeah,
are very
but
cute.
she is like doing that, and everybody's blue and everybody's beautiful, but everybody is like, oh, we finally did it. Now we have this Babylon, we have this empire, and it's all fun and games from now on. But Alexander is like, no, I want to go. And they're like, don't let me drink and let me like have fun here. They must be exhausted. There are no cars, nothing. And
I was
Persia
gonna
is huge.
Oh my God. In this first battle,
Yeah.
Alexander has a horse. He's chilling.
Yeah.
Everyone
that
else is
mother-
running 1 mile just to get to the enemies. Like, have you ever ran a mile? If you run 1 minute, you're like so sweaty, and they keep cutting back. Like 5 minutes later, these guys are still running. How do you expect them to fight with the sword? They've been conquering the desert, sand. That was so unrealistic. But I guess like Alexander did force people to do this. Wow. They were running forever, and it would never reach the enemy.
And can you imagine, like, even from Babylon, which is like this far west, and then he wanted to go to like somewhere in Afghanistan, kind of like stuff, that kind of place. That's so far east, and it's like in the mountains. Like, even Alexander didn't know what was beyond that world. He was like, what does the end of the world look like? Is it going to be just flat or something? He didn't know. Imagine.
We're judging him, but like, it's fair. There was no Google at that time.
Yeah. Fair. How did they even navigate? Okay, that's another point. Compass, probably something like that. But they walked.
And they fucked on the way.
Yes.
And they talked. And they right sometimes.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, he didn't even like tried even to rule the country at all. Most of these like places, governments, local governments, everything was all ruled by Persians themselves. They didn't even try to interfere because they couldn't.
Wow.
They just didn't know probably how to run a country.
I guess, yeah, it wasn't his goal to run the country at all. He
No.
just wanted the gold.
Yeah.
He would disagree with what everyone was telling him
Yes.
and do something that we as the audience thought was wrong.
Yeah.
And so at a certain point, I decided to follow what he says. Like, clearly he knew what he was talking about. They did conquer the greatest empire, which was
Yeah.
Persia. So up to that point, I thought, this man has a vision, follow him. And then he starts partying and getting drunk every day. And then I changed my mind. So that's exactly what the movie wants you to feel as well. That at first he's a great leader, charismatic, and then he turns into his father slowly. And
Yeah.
he makes impulsive decisions.
And you see the change in the movie, exactly like what they intended was that the point that he marries that Persian wife, that Persian woman, that's the point that everybody turns against him. Like, that's the first point. And that's the start of his fall. So he in the movie, they say that he went against everybody else and he made this impulsive decision out of nowhere to marry this woman of this tribe. Not even like a huge political thing, like a wedding or something, or alliance. But this unknown tribe that was in the mountains, he decided to marry that and make her the first queen.
That's a crazy decision because it was super uncommon. Even his mom, Olympias, she was the daughter of a king.
Yes.
And they still disrespected her this much. They were like, oh, she's from a
witch.
barbarian witch. And then you imagine he literally married a barbarian. So he did the worst thing for that time period.
Yeah, and he didn't marry a Greek woman at all. Like, I don't know how the generals actually made it happen. Because that never happens at all. They want to make sure that their daughters or like their family is connected to the king. Like these generals would push their daughters or like their family members. Their sister.
That scene was in the movie and one of my favorites. They're shouting their heads off at him. He will not give an ear.
Yeah. But I wonder, did the real Alexander actually marry a Persian? I'm not sure.
You think Roxanne is made up?
Oh.
Roxana.
Did he actually marry a Roxanne?
I take anything in the movie to be literal fact.
Okay, me too then. That makes two of us. Roxanne is, so he did marry someone, but I expected him to marry that princess when I first saw her.
I know,
Yeah.
that was implied. But he did marry the princess eventually.
He did?
Because remember, he had 3 wives.
Yes. Oh God. Darius's spirit, he's shaking in his grave.
Do you think Darius probably had 3 wives too?
Yeah, he did, but like his daughter is God getting railed by his enemy. That's so bad.
He's kind of a fine bachelor though. At least in the movie.
Yeah.
Super handsome.
But like these women probably didn't know how to speak his language, so they just did the deed. And Roxanne learned it like so quickly into the movie, but like I'm sure that didn't happen like that. It's so hard. But
the language of love exceeds
love. Wow. It's the animalistic actually language that speaks. It's universal. So yeah, we see them like Roxanne and his dynamic, and then after that it's kind of like his downfall when he goes to India, towards India, southeast, which is like, well, it's beautiful scenery actually when you see it. It's all jungle. Oh wow, still right now India is like this. It has this beautiful nature, but at that time I wonder. And then they see like these monkeys as well. It's so new to them. Or like elephants. They have never seen elephants before in their lives.
Wow.
That's such a huge thing. So he goes there, and that's when we see him slowly, gradually get defeated. The rain that is always coming and pouring down, and these like huge and like strong armies that Indians have. So it's really hard to fight against them.
And it's especially hard because he knew about Persia for a long time. They were studying what Persians have.
Yeah.
India was a complete mystery. They didn't even know, as you said, they didn't know elephants existed. They had no idea about these systems.
Right.
So they were going in completely blind.
Yeah, and even like India is so, I don't know how much of it was part of Persia, but India has always been a standalone like country and empire on itself during history. So I don't know exactly. And then so yeah, we see like his spirit getting like lost away. He loses his vision in the jungles of India. You see, like he had this vision of like, yes, connecting these countries together and like connecting these empires, but now he doesn't even know what he's doing, especially when everybody's always nagging in his ear. So that's also very relatable. You see like the group dynamics. It's very also like natural human behavior that you can apply to any kind of situation or like group dynamic.
They keep bringing him down, even though he did take them further than any god or myth that they had in the past. So it was super fair. He's like, listen to me. I did this already. And they would keep being like, enough. I'm done with you. We're following
But
your dad.
like, that makes sense. Like, he became a dictator at that point. He would not take any counsel at all. Like, he would shut it down immediately. And that's always going to be a problem, because no matter what you think you've done, or like what have you done exactly, you are still limited. Your mind is limited still.
Especially as your ego inflates.
Yes, yes. And then at that point, if you don't listen to anybody that is like living in reality, not get any like comments from like reality, oh my God, you're going to be in denial. You're going to live in an illusion, and that's going to be your downfall. Oh God. That's what happens to every dictator, to everyday people. Like everyone kind of like faces these kind of problems on day-to-day basis.
Literally, they show this. He's wearing a lion's head when he's about to die, and he's living in the glory of the past days.
Yeah, and even the lion is disheveled. Like the hair of the lion, it looks like a drunk lion.
Yeah, and you just see he's living in this delusion. He wants to go back to that time that he was great, and that's the moment that he dies. It just goes to show it's like a big roller coaster that you live in, and as soon as you get too high up, you are gonna fuck it up and come
You're
right back.
bound to. It's just laws of this world, you know. It's just gonna happen no matter who you are and what you've done. And yeah, so that's what happens. And one of my favorite scenes is actually when they are like it's in India, and after they kind of like are talking to this, they have this celebration, and there are these Indian rulers there as well. But what he does is that he goes and everybody's like, oh, kiss this lover boy, this Persian lover boy. And he doesn't go kisses him in front of everybody. And Roxanne is kind of cringing and everybody else is like, why would he do that in front of, especially like these Persian or like Indian people, because they're probably not used to something like that. And that's just disrespectful.
Yes,
even
your
to the
wife is
Greeks.
there. Yeah.
Even to the Greeks is disrespectful. He does this, and then one of the men starts to kind of like provoke him. Oh God.
Clytus. And Clytus has been around since the days this boy was a kid. He's seen him grow up and do all these crazy things.
Right.
And finally he's had enough.
Man.
Oh, I love that scene. It says, I'd rather be in Macedonian rags than in Eastern pump.
Whoa.
Pop. I don't know,
Some insult. Which, you have to get offended, but no. But no, I loved him. I loved whatever he said. He was so right, and it was so cool to say that outright to him. Something that nobody else dared to say.
And oh, wow, he escaped with his life. They took him out.
Right.
And then he came back in to speak his mind.
Oh, yes.
Once again.
And then you see Alexander get raged, because that hits a nerve. The things that he's saying, that man is saying, it's the truth, and it's bitter for him, and he can't stand it at all.
What I was so shocked by was Alexander gets hurt. His horse dies and he sees red, and I thought he died. Okay, no matter, he's alive. He sees his friends are dead. Hepatitis B is sleeping there. What's his name? Hemisphere. Hephaestion. Hephaestion is laying there, and then
God, did you see how he got hit? Hephaestion?
No.
You didn't?
No, how does he got
It's
hit?
so brutal. He gets axed
Oh,
from
God.
under. Ah!
Oh, I missed that one.
You should have
Crazy.
died on the spot.
Exactly. And then he's laying there and he's dead. And next scene, Alexander is good and Hephaestion's laying there in the same position, still alive. Like, what the fuck? Why would you even show us that? Like, him almost dying there.
And there were no like medical things at that point, like nothing to sterilize and like get the microbes out. Nothing. How did they survive like this? And they didn't even know about stitches. So I don't.
Yeah, what's the truth here? What's going on?
Yeah, Western, like they didn't know about stitches and you can make stitches until even 200 years ago probably. So I don't know how they survived. Yeah, they were tough people. I would not last a day.
For real, they're getting, it's so brutal. Even elephants were falling. You would think elephant, you couldn't even hurt that guy. He's so big, but they would cut his nose. And oof.
Oh God. But I wonder how they filmed those scenes. Were they real elephants or CGI?
Usually they don't hurt animals
No,
in
I
movies.
know.
So I would imagine even if it was real elephants, they would probably be like fake.
Makeup.
Although I was shocked, like when the horse gets hit, his horse, that looked so real.
there were so many hits to the poor horse. Yes. 2, I think,
Yes.
that went into him. But poor thing.
The bloodiest of battles. We watched Gangs of New York not so long ago, and comparatively, Gangs was like super sterile.
Yeah, but like the final battle with India, it was exactly reminded me of the Gangs of New York, the first battle that they have. It's like, what does he say, the butcher?
Is this all you got, Pope? A bunch of
Ragtag.
ragtag, crusty bitches,
That's what
and
it-
ragtag handful of bitches too.
Yeah, I love
Something
those
like that.
lines, whatever it is, like the ragtags. Oh, God.
Yeah, that lives in my head all the time.
Yeah, it reminded me of that because like they were standing like kind of close or like face to face almost. Not face to face, but like they're just in front of you, that big army. What for? Men love violence. And they are the ones that say women can't rule because they're illogical and I don't know, they're too emotional. No, you are angry all the time. And that's an emotion. Hello? And you're violent. And your first response to anything, to anything is like to fight
Squash it.
someone. Yeah. And you have to like suppress that emotion.
Yeah.
I don't
Or
get it.
let it out through art, do something other than kill.
Right.
Please.
And then they have the nerve. They have the nerve to say women can't rule. Okay.
I wonder what a female fight would look like. Because there would be a fight. It would probably be like super
there?
passive aggressive and
Oh yeah. Yeah. Side eyes and like
political
bitchy
intrigue.
remarks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be more
Ghosting.
sophisticated, definitely.
Either way, we live in the world where patriarchy is the way to go.
That's true. But like, you know, why is it that history does not mention women at all? Like, it's just that, yeah, they were women there, you know, they were there to breed, and that was like
Yeah,
the princess.
wow. At least in modern times, women's role is to like be the wife and like be part of this group dynamic. Like it's man and woman and we create life together. So you need me. But then at that time, it was literally like, bitch, I don't need you. My boy here is so much more attractive. I'll go fuck him and then I'll come just to have a boy
babe.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
just
I
to
don't
have
even
a
love
boy.
you.
I just love boys. Only give me boy.
Seriously, and it was like not even a romantic thing. Like they had no power at all at that time other than the giving a boy.
Wow.
That was a worse time for women. Because at least today, like you say, oh, women have this power over men. Like men
Yeah, but,
love
like,
women.
This romantic thing didn't even come like really long ago. It came from France or something, and it was like in 1700s.
Wow.
So like this romantic notion of like this romantic way, it just didn't come out that easy. Or I think the early ones is like during medieval times, the knights would like try to seduce women. So like that's when it came out. So at that time there was no romance at all. No way. Can you imagine? Like they didn't even think about that. Is that possible that men didn't even think about romancing someone?
Well, I don't buy it. Because this is what I've been taught and like ingrained into me
Yeah.
is that because women can bear children and because men are afraid of death and they want to create themselves again, they've always gone after women.
Right.
And they worshipped the areas of women that give birth. So for example, they've been obsessed with the area that gives milk and the
Yeah.
area that the child comes out of, and it's been on their mind all the time. And so now to learn, oh, they were actually after their own kind and the women were simply a vessel. That's so shocking.
Wait. Okay, so there's this woman, right? Shara, and she says, she's like the sprinkle lady. She says that there was this woman that commented, Shara, I have, I don't know, for example, this kind of like small boobs or something like that, or I'm like a little bit chubby. Would men find me attractive, or like would I have a chance to find someone? And she was like bluntly, like, men men find men attractive. What do you think? Men fuck men. What do you think about that? Like, he's like, and she was like, put men in a prison for like a month, for like 2 months, and see what's gonna happen. Like,
That's the stereotype, definitely.
but
Men will go for anything that moves.
that's true. So it's like, you're not. No, that's not
Yeah,
true.
love
That-
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You're not the problem, even though that's not true. But like, that's the case. Like, the men are so narcissistic. They love their own kind so much, even if they don't admit it, of course. But they love their own kind. And yeah, it's just the biological thing that's kind of ticking that pushes them to go towards women. They don't even like women at all.
Oh, what a life. But we could change that. We could be
I
this.
love this. I
kind
could
of-
change you. Yeah. Do you think you could change Alexander?
Oh, in my delusional days, I would have thought.
Yeah.
But imagine, no way. I can't change my family. How am I going to change this murdering psycho who's destroying civilizations? Oh, Lord. And he
Oh,
has
God.
5 wives.
Oh, we could be one of the Persian ones.
It's a hard life that we live. At least we don't live in these times where your life could
Right.
end in a moment's notice. Even he
That's
died at
true.
33. What? 32.
Yes.
Too young.
Wow. Yeah. I thought he actually died so much earlier, like at 27 or something. But when I realized 32, okay, that's good.
Okay, you lived a full life.
Yeah. At his peak. That's so good. That's so good. I want to die that young. Oh,
Don't say that because it will come. It will
yeah,
come
it's
your way.
okay. It's okay. After I've done something good, probably like, let me go, and my highest, please.
Wow.
Yeah,
We'll see how that goes.
I don't want to grow old and like, I don't know.
Yeah,
so
wow.
weak.
That's so interesting because this movie says man is driven by his fear of death.
Yeah.
And you, though, are saying like you are driven by your fear of aging, not even death.
No, actually, that's not true. Not by aging, but maybe fear of not having lived a full life once I'm gone. Yeah.
So why do you want to be gone fast? You could have like many opportunities to live a full life.
That's true. But like once you get to a certain point, you're just defeated and you're just weak and you don't function the same way.
I know. If you just have
Your
to be a
prime is
burden
just-
to other people,
Yeah,
that sucks.
exactly. That's the thing. Your prime is just like your 30s and 40s, especially 40s.
Yeah, right. But then imagine some guy like Steven Spielberg or Ridley Scott directing movies, epic movies at 85.
Right.
That would
But
be
even
cool.
their peak when they got famous, and that wasn't this time period of
That's
their
true.
life.
Only because what they did at the time in their 20s was so great that we say, oh, what you're doing in your 80s is not so good now. But if that didn't exist, we would be so amazed by Napoleon. We would be like, wow, he did that at 85. But we're not that impressed because he made Aliens when he was like 30.
Maybe he should make an Alexander movie too. Now he made the Napoleon.
Well, he's busy making Gladiator right now.
Yes, which is coming out in November, I think. Oh God, that is on our list.
Gladiator, is this
Two.
the same time period?
What?
Or is it like thousands
I
of
don't
years
know.
later?
It's Rome, definitely. But I wonder, is it after this Macedonia becoming this huge and stuff, or is it before
when
that?
is the gladiator slave time? I'm not sure. Tell us if you know.
Exactly. So we see like humans have always praised people and always wanted to praise someone and make them big and huge and celebrities. Celebrity lifestyle.
I wonder why that is. I feel like this is what I was thinking about the other day, is that there would be no need for leaders if there wasn't people who are like so stubborn and problematic. There's some people you meet who are, you cannot make them like make a good decision for their life.
Right.
And they're always going the wrong way, and they're so stuck in their own mind, and it doesn't matter what you say. And most people fall into that at least at some point if they're not in it at this moment. That's the reason leaders exist, or else we would be living in this peaceful area where each person is doing their own thing and groups come together and like build things all with one mind.
That's so beautiful. You're so right. You know,
Fucked up
everybody is
everywhere.
yeah, everybody is a natural leader. Like they have this ability to be a leader. And why should there even be leaders? Like everybody is a free human. They were born free, and they have to. And once they are like living this life, they get like prisoned by their own mind and things that happen. But they always have the ability to break free from that. And so if everybody like became a leader of their own life and their own mind and their own destiny, we would not need any leaders at all. Why would there be someone to tell you what to do?
But we talked about this a lot actually in the previous episode.
Yes,
Kinds of kindness.
It actually is so many points that was so similar to them between these two. Like, oh my God. You have to check that episode.
Why are there people who want to control others?
Yes.
Why would you let that happen to you? We let that happen every day.
Exactly. Recently, I've been like kind of learning about these cults and things like that, and how people get influenced by these kind of things. And there's just that everybody wants to be part of a group, and especially those that have been rejected from society usually find each other, and they want to have a leader that advocates an illusionary lifestyle, and they want to follow that leader, even though with their own habits at the moment they would never reach that lifestyle. But that cult leader is just selling this idea to them.
But do you understand, Parmenion? Babylon's my new home.
All these great actors they gathered, but for it to be a flop, why? Why did that happen? Do you think Persians had something to do with it?
Persians always have something to do with it. They're always scheming in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if it had to do with the edit. Like sometimes you watch a movie and it doesn't sit right with you. I read a review that said it was really confusing and jumbled up when it first came out. Didn't really make sense.
I see. You know, 2004 was not particularly the time for these kind of movies, I imagine. What do you think? It was more like for high school movies. And like,
Exactly.
like
Mean Girls
that.
came out in 2004. The Notebook.
It's not the time exactly for these kind of stuff.
That's true. What 2007 though? That was around There Will Be Blood. That was around these serious movies. So there you go.
Still.
He released it again at that time. Smart move.
In theaters, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. But still, oh man, that sucks. But
Although, I mean, I'd never seen this movie as a film student. I hadn't even heard about it. But when I was watching it, my two cousins were like, "Oh, I've seen this movie."
really,
And they're from
they
Iran.
don't even watch a lot of stuff, right?
so it goes to show like maybe it is famous in different countries,
I
different
see,
parts of
I
the world.
see,
It's
yeah.
big.
Definitely in Greece and Cyprus and Iran. Just these three countries. All the streaming coming from there. Every day they're watching it.
Thank you so much for joining us on this epic journey through time back to Alexander the Great's historical
Yes.
things that he did. This movie was in fact recommended to us by a great friend of the podcast.
Yes. Raf M3068. Thank you so much for recommending this movie.
This was shocking and still lives in my head.
Yes.
I think forever it will be. It's like kind of messed me up.
Yeah,
So
that's
thank you.
true. And I didn't say this actually. I really wanted to say this, that my brother was also, his name is Aristo as well, like Aristotle. I was yeah, I forgot totally. But
Even though Aristotle was such a bigoted fella
yeah,
in this movie,
he was.
and it goes to show your brothers probably.
He is. That has these misogynistic ideas of like But okay, thank you so much for recommending this movie to us, and please recommend any other favorite movies that you have, anything related, historical or not, whatever
Exactly.
you desire, whatever you like.
Any kind of movie is good. Historical though, we love.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
absolutely. Please subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe. Go to
And-
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We're everywhere. And we'll see you every week with a new plot, pals.
Yes, true. See you. Bye, pals.